use of an electronic. Okay, I can go back and say it again. So the regular board meeting will be recorded and uploaded to our district website. The definitive documentation of decisions of this board are recorded in the meeting minutes. Any use of an electronic device such as a computer or cell phone by trustees during the meeting is related to the business of the meeting. The core values that guide the work of the school division are respect, compassion, honesty, responsibility, and relationships. So we'll call our meeting to order at 5:30. And I'd like to acknowledge that today's meeting is being held within the traditional territory of the Deneza and Treaty 8. Could I have a mover and a seconder for the agenda? Moved by David, seconded by Thomas. Additions to the agenda, there are going to be two. Under the BCSTA section 10.2, Provincial Advocacy Day, and under 12.2 will be NIB report out for those that were able to attend. So with those two additions, calling the question, all in favor? Thank you. We don't have any presentations or delegations tonight, so we'll start with trustee engagement and celebrations, and trustee Campbell, please.
Okay. I went and delivered my apples to my school, and while I was delivering them, I had at two of the smaller schools, the kids were asking me, well, why was I there? So I was explaining it to them. And they says, well, why don't you just come and visit us? So the next 2 days I went at recess and walked around the playground and visited with the kids. So, and then I went to DPAC and SUPAC meeting. I also attended the open house in Taylor and the NIB.
Thank you. Trustee Gillis. Nicole, I'll come back to you. Vice Chair Lehman.
It's apples as well, and did some more strategic planning, saw the engagement kits, and I think it's going to be, I'm excited. Clearview PAC, and attended the NIB as well as the DPAC and SUPAC.
Thank you. Trustee Scott Moncrief.
I attended the Upper Pine Run last month. Then with my apples, I was out at 101, had a really good walkthrough, and I love having the middle school ages, so it just makes such a difference. Then went over to Presbyterian and had a pancake breakfast with the school. Just happened to be there at the right time. That was a lot of fun. And then back to Upper Pine, and then had lots of conversations with Buick Creek as well.
Thank you. Trustee Snow.
All right. So I went to the elementary soccer tournament. Really enjoyed that. I went around delivering apples. I did the lunch at Burpo's. Took part and helped feed the whole school within 40 minutes. I went to the PAC meeting at Kearney. Policy meeting here. The joint NIB meeting. And then I went to my schools and sat down with principals and just had check-in.
Thank you. Trustee Whitten.
So I was at a PAC meeting for Bert Bowes for last month, and it was fantastic. One of the best turnouts that they've had in a while, which is great because that means that it's a growing PAC and people are getting involved. And then with Bill, we were serving lunch to kids. We brought in the city council and everything there, and they were serving up children as well, and a lot of the administration was there. It was really great to catch up with some people, and brought apples around to all my schools.
Trustee Gillis. So I got to have lunch with the DPAC executive. I attended the Chamber of Commerce AGM, and they needed to have 43 people present to do their voting because they have a membership of 430, and they didn't have 43 present. They did, though, have a very interesting speaker who talked about trades and the fact that we're just not producing enough Canadian citizens for jobs and immigration and recruitment and retention. So there was some real common themes to what we talk about quite regularly. Talked a lot about the fact that kids sometimes know they want to be an entrepreneur and they want to know about business, so they go to school and do a business management course. Whereas being in the trades, and some of the trades where you're running your own business, is a real opportunity for entrepreneurship, and suggested that there needs to be some connections made that way. I got to play at the Terry Fox Run at Beldonnell. I'm happy to report I've been to PAC meetings for 3 of the schools, and they're looking at a stronger number of parents out, which is really nice. Glad to get apples out to lots of different places and locations and touch base with people, and thank you everybody for making that work. Attended a story walk at Finch and NIB. There's lots going on.
Ellen, can I just add one thing that I forgot?
Yeah.
I went to one of the Strong Starts in Taylor, and it was very well attended, and they actually would like another day even if they could. Like it was really slow last year, but now without them having the preschool in Taylor, more and more people are starting to use their Strong Start, and they just loved it. They were just so happy I had stopped to see them. It was really good. There was a whole room full of people.
It's exciting.
I forgot something too. It was kind of a spur of the moment, and I was at a school for work, and a teacher asked me if I would come in and talk to some students and explain to them what we do.
All right.
And then they proceeded for about 10 minutes to ask me questions. It's kind of interesting. There were some really good questions.
All right, moving on then to agenda item number 5, the minutes of the regular board meeting of September the 18th, which is page 6 to 15 in your packet. Give you a little bit of time to look at those. Could I please get a mover and seconder for those minutes? Moved by Ida, seconded by Thomas. Any errors or omissions? Calling the question then, all in favor? Business arising from those minutes. In looking at the action items that are included in them, the report was brought back to a committee of the whole related to OPS site. Terms of reference for the rural and remote network still are not done, so that will go onto a future agenda. In the operations report for the committee of the whole, Angela let us know that all HVAC systems throughout the district are remotely controlled. And Stephen sent us a report on where we're at with LOPs. Pretty much the same number right now.
Slight less than last year, so
Okay.
about 10 less than last year.
Any other questions related to those minutes? Auditor renewal was in there, I think, too.
They're sending out.
Okay. Just check. Moving on to item number 6 then, approval of the excerpts of the regular board meeting June the 19th. June the 19th. So the agenda item number 6 should read actually the regular meeting minutes from October the 3rd, 2023, which is page 16 in your agenda packet. Please have a mover and a seconder. Moved by David. Seconded by Thomas. Any errors or omissions? Well, all in favor then? Are you okay, Leah?
I might be wondering if you did the wrong attachment.
Having trouble doing
Are you? Okay, I'll just use my gym voice.
Was it an error on the?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just hang on. It's just the date. Maybe it wasn't in the package, that was what I was.
So October,
October 3rd, 2020.
well, it wouldn't be October 3rd, we didn't have a voting.
Okay.
It would be September.
September, then, yeah.
Well, no, because it's for 2 months past, like it's not, that's not last month, it's 2 months. Because it has to go through the in-camera first.
Sorry, guys.
We can figure it out later.
That's what's on. That's my
There's many of the whole.
All right, I might have confused you. Might have confused her. Okay, so it's the excerpt, it is the excerpts from June 19th. Sorry, I'd flipped 2 pages ahead and thought the dates were out, so it's all me, not Leah. All me.
It is the June
Pardon?
It is from June.
It is from June, but I had flipped 2 pages ahead. I was ahead of myself. Unusual. So, now, it is June the 19th of 2023, and we have a mover in David and a seconder in Thomas. Calling the question, all in favor? Okay, Leah, I might be back on track. All right. Taking a look now at announcements and reminders. Are there any additions to that?
Is there somebody able to lay a wreath?
That's part of later, further in the agenda.
Okay. And the other thing is, I'm wondering if I'm reading this right, is the elementary volleyball tournament on a Monday and Tuesday night? Is that correct?
Yeah, those are the dates, yeah.
It's not on the weekend?
No. No. Helen?
Yep.
Just the Christmas vacation period is December 25th, and I missed this, December 25th to January 5th.
Okay.
Just so that we're looking at it the same way, because school starts again on Monday the 8th.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. And note the date for the district staff Christmas
Yeah.
dinner and dance. So make sure you've noted that. Get your calendars. And that's that. All right, moving on then to senior staff reports, Stephen's report.
Thank you. And so item number 1 is my online superintendent's report. Under the framework for enhancing student learning, just a reminder to trustees and the public around our changes policy that was implemented this past summer. This is not new for SD60. We've had schools on the pilot in terms of the 4-point proficiency scale, but there are many resources available on this link and on the district website in terms of what to expect and why and how, and that's rolling out in the district. Second item, human and social development. Just it's the slide deck that I shared with the SUPAC around some of the programs and processes that support social and emotional learning as well as behavior in the classroom in terms of both support from outside the classroom, from the district, as well as programs available to the teachers and the students. Under career and skill development, you will have seen this in the Alaska Highway News, which I actually hear that the Alaska Highway News is going to be no more here shortly. And so each year the high school invites recruiters and universities and colleges, and the kids come to the gym. And I remember when I was there, it's very interesting for the students to see and to talk to someone in person rather than just the online access. Under operations and HR, just lots of professional development opportunities happening in October. Of course, October is the provincial non-instructional day, so you'll see things around SD60 as well as around the province. Here we have some workshops on math tools, on math facts and fluency, and under inclusion we have a number of Pop Art and Pop Fast courses and training available to our staff to support inclusion in the district. I won't read through all of that, but that's there for your information. Bit of an update on one of the initiatives around recruitment and retention that SD60 is basically, leading, and that is that it's now evolved into a virtual professional learning series for new teachers that have been hired in the North. This is accessible to all teachers in the North that are newly hired, not just the ones that were only hired recently, that any teacher can access it. And the first 2 sessions are on Wellbeing 101 for teachers, followed by Indigenous Education in British Columbia. So these topics were shared amongst those staff, and they'll be offered throughout the year. So that's nice to see that take hold. Under Truth and Reconciliation, there's a lovely book reading by Jamelia Turner at Montgomery Community School, and it's here for you to check out and to listen to, as well as, of course, our many activities happening around the district, some of which are profiled in our Take 3 at the bottom of this report as well. Also, hats off to our local PRNTA, their Social Justice Committee, In addition to a number of professional development opportunities on the provincial day, they are also have organized a screening of the film Bones of Crows on October the 20th, and it's open to all staff. So I want to extend our thanks to the PRNTA for organizing that. So I'm quite excited about that. Undertake 3, Duncan Cran. I was learning it around Orange Shirt Day, and of course we saw these around the district, but it's nice to see those visuals of all the students in their t-shirts and having fun at the same time. Chair Gilbert, myself, Ms. Andrews, Ms. Jansen were over at Finch for a Truth and Reconciliation walk, led by students. So they took us around the school to various stations to learn some history, and we got to work on a moccasin after that. And so mine is proudly displayed. Actually, that is mine right there in my office. So that was a lot of fun. Thank you to Finch for that. Bert Ambrose also brings back fairly regularly Rick Leaf, and they build a school song over the course of the week. You can also see them wearing their orange shirts and put together a nice anthem, if you will, of the school. And it's as much about the process that week as it is about a final product at the end. So they had lots of fun and enjoyed that. That is my online report. Item number 2 is a request for approval of community coaches to be broken out, as well as number 3 for approval of out-of-district field trips. And that is my report.
Thank you. I have a mover and seconder for Stephen's report, please. Moved by Bill, seconded by Madeline. And we'll pull those other items out for
Thank you.
motions. Are there any questions related, first of all, to Stephen's Human Resources Summary Report that's part of
sorry
your
about that,
package
yeah,
on
sorry.
page 17? Okay, moving on then to the electronic report. We'll go through section by section. The supporting inclusion and behavior in SD60, behavior processes as presented. Any questions related to that? It was interesting to note later on that Hudson Hope went down to Chatwin.
Okay.
Some of
Yeah.
the kids were the same presentation, so that was nice to see.
Nice collaboration.
I wondered if there had been any chance for Prescott to come in any of those invitations.
Good question. I'll have to get back to you on that.
I have a quick question about that.
Yeah.
Did we, during the year, do we highlight any businesses locally that are willing to bring into trades and all of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, there's actually a number of things. Good, thanks for the question. And so there are a number, of course, dual credit and trades channels and pathways that the students learn about at the school through the counselors and, in fact, through specific career teachers. But also a couple of times of the year, Thomas, we have like at the Lido last spring, where all the local businesses kind of came together with a presentation to our high school students around some of the local options and some of the other business and entrepreneurial activities in the town. So I can't say that it happens every year, but we actually do have a number of those type of career presentations through our careers department. And I'll keep trying to profile them here as well, though. And just to highlight, I forgot Phil to mention, one of these workshops on numeracy is for support staff specifically, and the other is for teachers. October seems to be Pro D month.
Stephen, what was the uptake on that? Because the first meeting of this has happened. Do you
Yeah.
know what the uptake on it was?
I'll be happy to get back to you on that, absolutely.
The other question I had wondered was whether there was any opportunity to record the session since they're virtual, so that if somebody can't attend during the time frame
Yeah.
that it's there,
Yeah.
it becomes a living resource that people can go back to.
Yeah, great question. I'll get back to you on that too. It's being led by the soup in Terrace, as well as the soup in Stikine. And so I can check with them as to what their plan is and what their capacity is on that. No problem.
Yes.
Yeah, no, good idea.
With this one here, Stephen,
Yes.
did I hear you say it was for new teachers?
New or new to teaching or within their first or second year, we basically sent it out to all of our new teachers and LOPs and that sort of thing.
Why not for anybody interested?
It could be, this was a specific initiative out of the recruitment and retention pilot in the north around wanting to make sure that there was some follow-up professional learning series for people that were relatively new to being hired. It was not intended as a recruitment course for people considering teaching.
No, I mean like people already been teaching.
Yeah.
He's only about a 5-year, into the
Somebody that's
fifth
been
year,
teaching for
whatever,
10
fifth
years.
Yeah, I
Now
think,
they're gonna start teaching a different course or something.
Right.
Or, where they would like some more knowledge in something.
yeah, I think that would be very useful, Bill. As you can see in the rest of the report, there are a number of Pro-D opportunities available to teachers.
Yeah.
This specific initiative was for topics based on the survey that we had with new teachers around what they would like to see. And so it was fairly targeted in terms of the content and the audience. But it is not the only Pro-D opportunity for teachers.
Oh, no, I know that for sure.
Yeah.
Just one of the things even on the weekend we were talking about
Yeah.
was recruitment and retention.
Yeah. Oh, and this is the retention side.
But I mean, but we want to, and sorry, how do we put it? And not just like incentives for the new people.
Agreed.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
For everybody.
Yeah, I hear you. Absolutely.
Ida?
I think that it's great that it's for new teachers and the first-year teachers, because I'm going back to when the VCSJ used to do an academy for just new trustees or second-term trustees, and they seem to be more comfortable and ask more questions. And so I think it's good to start, and I think that's something we have to keep in our mind too. Like, I think that for new trustees, for example, I think they've lost a lot of what we used to get when I was first. Because again, it came where someone said, well, why isn't it for all trustees?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's good for just new.
And there's no end to the opportunities where even though it's trouble around getting TTMCs, there are still a number of Pro-D opportunities around the district.
Well, y'all know I'm really for produce.
Thank you for the question. Feels like a long time ago we weren't finished. Cute.
Could I please have someone make the motion that the Board of Education accept the community coaches as presented? Moved by Ida, seconded by Bill. Any questions related to that before I call the question? All in favor? Out of district field trips, I was glad to see there's some volleyball on there for Hudson Hope, Nicole.
Can I throw a comment out here?
You betcha.
While I was in Prince George, I went over and watched one of these out-of-district trips. The soccer team was down there playing.
Yeah.
And the disappointing side to it was the boys went down there and played the same team four times, I think it was. Nobody else in Prince George would play them. From where they were playing, you could see another school, and that school wouldn't play against them.
It's too bad.
Yeah. It was rather, and the coach was really baffled by it. Right. The other team was really nice, they were really nice, and it was, But it was really disappointing to see like Northern not, want to take part with each other kind of thing.
Right, out of district field trips attachment, could I get a mover and a seconder for that, please? Moved by Bill, seconded by David. Any comments, discussion related to that?
I'm just going to throw this out there as being picky on my side, but it does say in one of these that the chaperone and driver have their CRC. I would imagine that goes for everybody that's in here. Yeah, okay.
Sorry about that.
Nope, it's all good. I just wanted to clarify.
Calling the question in, all in favor? Thank you. We will move on to the Secretary Treasurer's report.
Thank you. For my report, I have the finance update to September 30th, 2023 as an attachment. Hudson Child Care update. I always get this wrong. Do I elaborate? Can I go ahead?
Yeah.
So the update for Hudson Hope is that the YMCA will be using the current Strong Start space in the Hudson Hope School for before and after school care. Strong Start will continue. They'll just use it during school hours, and then 5 days a week we'll have before and after school care in place. I've heard that it will be starting towards the end of October, but we're still waiting for the license to be granted because they don't like to license a shared space. So I believe we've jumped over that hurdle, and then we should be able to move forward with that. I believe there is discussion between other parties in the community around childcare for early years, but nothing solid at this time. And then there is my HR report for support staff. And that is my report.
Moving seconder for Angela's report, please. Moved by Thomas, seconded by Madeline. Right. Questions related to the financial update? Thomas.
I have one, and it's explained here, but I just asked for a little bit more information. On other professionals, we've got 25%, and it gets expended this early on in the year. Just curious as to why.
The other professionals are 12-month employees, so they're up 25% is a quarter of the year, which is accurate for where we're at. Great question. Thank you, Thomas.
The offshore tuition, I know what budget is. Do we have that amount of international students, or what does that look like?
I will get back to you with that answer. I believe, I'm just gonna get back to you before I give you my belief, so.
Yeah, no, I do know that our target is 50 FTE, and so we'll verify the actual amount. I know we're close.
Yeah, I knew kind of what the target was, but are we?
Yeah, I know we're close, yeah.
So Angela,
The question, no, because that 36,000.
when I look at the Ministry of Education grants part, in the preliminary budget, we had it a certain figure, and the actual is coming in much higher. Am I reading that correctly?
Much higher. It's coming in at 10%. Sorry, I'm not sure what the question is.
About the amount of money coming in from Ministry of Education grants. And we thought in the preliminary budget that we would have less, but we seem to have more.
Well, I'm not sure I understand the question, but I'll tell you how they funded so far. So they fund us very minimally over the summer.
Okay.
And then we get funded based on, so the funding starts low, continues to be low in September, and then in October, we kind of get the full amount of what we projected
Okay.
for enrollment
I
from
know what I'm
last
trying to
year.
say. Maybe I'm not saying it well. And our enrollment,
So
has it come in at what we wanted it to be?
we projected 6,010 students, and we're coming in with the DL and the brick and mortar, we're very close to that. I'd like to take credit for that, but my crystal ball must have been working very well that day.
I was just curious. I was trying to figure it out.
I can definitely give you a solid, because we just finished the
Finished
1701 in
1701, yeah.
verification, so I can definitely get back to you with that information.
I guess I was trying to figure out when I was looking at stuff. We've got that money that came in for the food bank. Is it going to come in monthly or is it coming in one lump sum?
They generally give it to us in one lump sum, but it doesn't show up in here because it's a special purpose fund.
Okay, so.
So you wouldn't see it in the operating financials.
Okay, thank you. All right.
We have money coming from Alberta, right?
We do, yes, but we haven't received anything yet, so. So once the 1701 is verified, which just occurred on Friday, we can invoice them for our Alberta students. So that should happen in the next couple of weeks.
Can you elaborate on the concept? Who is it that doesn't like shared space for daycare?
It's not that they don't, it's that licensing prefers each space to have their own space. They don't like to have one license for Strong Start, one license for, I shouldn't say they don't like, it's not something they've historically done. So we've had to kind of figure out how to manage that space because they both have different criteria and different ages. So, but it's fine. They're moving forward.
Well, no, I'm asking the question because we're now supposed to be the Ministry of Education and Childcare. And if there's barriers to using school spaces for childcare, that doesn't seem to fit with the mandate we've been given. So licensing is done by who?
Northern Health.
And we haven't had the same hold up or concerns when before and after school daycare is in an absolute dedicated space.
When it's a dedicated space, yeah. And again, it's just taking a little bit more maneuvering and managing because it doesn't come up very often. Most of the time these spaces are dedicated because they run every day of the week or all day, but so this is something new, I think, for them to have to facilitate.
So what they're kind of saying is, even if you live in a small community, we want you to have two spaces.
No, I'm not saying that. They're 100% working with us to try to figure it out. It's just something new to, it's not a large hurdle that we're.
Well, that's what they used to say. Sorry.
Yeah, they used to not do it, I believe, historically, so.
Ida?
So, they did run, when, at one time, the District of Taylor ran a preschool, and we ran the Strong Start in the same room.
Yes.
And again, we had the issue where we had to have the two licensing. So they have done it in the past, but it does take a little bit more.
Nicole?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, the other before and after school care programs we have, Angela, they're not done by the Y, are they?
No, those are done by us.
So why did we go this route with this one versus us?
My understanding is the Y has the capacity to find staff within the community and manage it. Right now, we have programs running that we're trying to run programs and we can't staff them. And I think the Y has a lead on staffing that we don't have, so.
Okay. Well, anyways, thank you for all your hard work and getting it done fairly quickly because, things don't usually move quickly in government. So this is great news for us. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. You're welcome. Thank you.
Again, I think, Helen, you've identified an area that is of interest across the province in terms of some of the new responsibilities of school boards. And that licensing is one of those topics that they will continue to have to streamline. And it could very well be a question or an advocacy piece around making it more accessible and, quite frankly, less administratively challenging.
Well, if you want dual use of spaces, which is good use of taxpayers' dollars,
Yeah.
and you've changed the mandate of our schools, then there shouldn't be hurdles.
This is an incredible amount of time allocation to figure out licensing from our operations department.
So this even went back to when we went to I went to an early childhood conference with some of our staff there, and the licensing back there, and that was when it was seamless kindergarten. That was a big issue too, so I know they're working on it.
Yeah, I believe what's happening in this current climate is that you now do have to facilitate shared spaces, where I think everyone operated in silos previously. So you had a space for this and you had a space for this, but the best use of the space, like you said, is a shared space, and it's the most cost effective, and that's the path forward. The way between the Strong Start and before and after school care is there's just different ages and different requirements.
So how long is, just to piggyback off of Nicole's question, how long of a contract have we entered into with the Y?
I'm gonna have to get back to you because the contract is not finished yet.
Okay,
So
well, no, I'm just thinking that
playing a little
something
bit of
new,
catch up here, yeah.
yeah, no, that there may be a point where we want to do it ourselves if it's before and after school, because, or, yeah,
Ideally,
because it can mean more hours for our EAs and everything else, so. Questions related to the human resource support staff summary from Angela. Calling the question related to the Secretary Treasurer's report. All in favor?
thank you.
Carried. And guess what? I'll pay better attention to dates. Now we're looking at the October 3rd minutes, which is page of the regular committee of the whole meeting, which is page 19 to 21 in your agenda package. Thank you. Ida has moved, Bill has seconded. Any errors or omissions? On the question then, all in favor? Carried. Business arising. The board annual work plan was part of the agenda package, and it's something that we'll look at in camera. And there's ongoing work related to community coaching that will come back to us. Any other business arising or questions related to those minutes? Okay. Policy committee follow-up. We're looking at policy 4053, which is referred to sometimes as the whistleblower policy, but it's the Public Interest Disclosure Act, and this is a policy that there was ministry direction around us having, and there were some changes in wording based on some of the definitions that we were sent. It's not a major changes to that in red. And it is a notice of motion, so we just need somebody to move it, and then we would revisit it at our next meeting after there's an opportunity for feedback from public and review. Thank you. I was just rereading and got caught up in it. Madeline will move that for us. All right, policy 4208, which is related to the Teachers Professional Development Committee. And the changes in this were more to bring us in alignment with what's actually happening related to professional development. Moved by Bill. So again, that goes out for a month, and we'll look at it when it comes back. Other reports, BCSTA, Trustee Gillis, did you have anything?
No, I don't. Am I on mute?
No.
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you. And we did add to the agenda Provincial Advocacy Day, which I'll be going to Victoria for this week. What I thought was important to bring back to you is the areas that will be a focus from the BCSTA. Student outcomes is one of their focus, and their key asks are improved data collection and tracking for Indigenous students, better data for tracking and monitoring the education of children with disabilities, diverse abilities, youth in care, refugees, English language learners, at-risk students, and priority populations. A big one for us, equity of opportunity for rural and remote districts is entered into being a key ask, and additional resources and funding to implement strategies to improve student outcomes. Then under recruitment and retention, the key asks are incentives for educational staff to work in rural and remote areas, expanding loan forgiveness for staff in the public education sector, housing affordability and availability. Capital and deferred maintenance is their other area of focus, and their key asks are increased annual facilities grants, funding for maintenance and replacement of aging infrastructure, funding for new builds and additions required due to growth, funding for climate adaptations in buildings, and allow boards to carry operating fund contingencies forward. So that will be the focus, and it's quite clear in what's going on that there is a desire on the BCSTA's part to make sure that the needs of northern districts and remote districts are factored into the work that's being done. They are certainly carrying through with that commitment. So. BCPC Symposium, Vice Chair Lehman.
The attachment, the agenda is attached, and the reason for that is Bill and Thomas are attending. So for the rest of us that cannot attend, they're going to do a report out. If you looked at the attachment, if you look at the agenda, is there anything that you really want them to bring back to us? Is there something that, you know, you'd say, oh, I wish I could have attended that? And then I'm sure that you guys know your homework.
She's wanting to send you with homework, no. I think it'll be really interesting to hear back from you as to how the breakout session that on governance goes, because we're doing our district is doing a similar breakout session at Academy. And so you just have to give us some nitty gritty on how that's operating, how it went, and what we should do back from it. I think the hard thing with this is that we had to make decisions to decide if you were interested in symposium before the agenda was out, and hence this is an opportunity if there was something that you really want information back on, to make sure that Bill and Thomas are front end loaded so they don't come back and we start firing off questions. So. Yeah.
I think by looking at the agenda, that they've got a lot more Pro-D again this year, so that's nice to see. Because through COVID and right after COVID, they really didn't have a lot of Pro-D for trustees, so I'm glad to see this.
There's 3 sessions each day.
2 are for staff and then 1 is for trustees.
Oh,
So we only get to go to specifically the one?
yeah.
I guess because of the it's worded. And there's also the conflict part, I mean, probably do that.
Yeah, because a trustee who was in conflict could attend symposium.
Or cannot necessarily attend all the sessions.
So they're providing more sessions for staff than what they are trustees.
You can only attend 1, so don't
No,
get the
'cause
choice, I
there's-
guess.
In the breakout sessions,
Yeah.
the rest of it's available to both
To
staff
everyone.
and trustees.
It's just a breakout session.
They're different.
Just to clarify, staff will be administration, or will there be teachers actually there as well?
No, it's our director of HR, Wade Hart, along with our HR manager, Alex Botchell.
Going down, okay.
Coordinator,
Pardon me?
HR coordinator.
HR coordinator, sorry.
So just report on everything, okay? I think that's the direction. Board Pro-D, that's just a standing item and there's nothing to bring forward from that. Under correspondence, you've received the letter that came from the Down Syndrome BC. I included it because it's got lots of links and things like that. And as we move forward with some of the things that we have to do are looking at for accessibility, just building understanding of the needs of different groups is not bad, is a good thing for us. So I've just shared that with you there. And then the other letter that I put in the package is a CC of a letter to Mayor Hanson. It sounds like at UBCM she took the opportunity to meet with the minister and talk about some things, and the minister responded back to her. Madeline?
I mean, I don't know, it's good if the city is talking about schools. I just was a little bit confused about the letter because it seemed like it wasn't necessarily city. I don't know, I thought it was interesting to see it come from that corner, but.
Yeah, we don't really know what her asks were and what she was talking about on behalf of the district.
So that would have been an interesting thing that it was on the behalf of the school district.
One can assume, but I'm not going to assume because I get in trouble when I do that.
Just add, I think there will be opportunities in the future to, as you've asked, to meet with municipalities and make sure they understand this and get the same information that we have in terms of our needs and our plans.
And I guess when the Building Schools Together document was attached to the letter, the assumption might have been that it was related to our capacity to use part of it. So, unfinished business, 12.1.
Quick question on that one.
Yeah.
Can we reach out to Lilia?
Yeah.
Just say, hey, just curious what the discussion was and what they came back with.
Angela has that on her radar.
Helen?
Yep.
I just like to say, like, you know, when the municipalities have a chance to speak with ministries directly at UBCM, it's a pretty great opportunity that we ourselves as a board don't find very often. I have yet to sit in a room with just Minister of Education. So, you know, they likely are just advocating for the same things all of BC are, like more spaces, not overfilled schools, better recruitment and retention. Like, I wouldn't necessarily think this is anybody overstepping. This is everybody just doing their part in advocacy.
Oh, I wasn't. I don't
So
think.
I know you're not, but I'm just wondering if somebody might think that that's what's happened, but it's likely not the first time the city of Fort St. John or even the district of Hudson Hope at UBCM talked to the Ministry of Education about their school. It might just be the first time a minister has been nice enough to write back.
I don't know. I know that I've had Brad Sperling with the Peace River Regional District before he was going down for some meetings, came and actually asked what would be important to us in terms of recruitment and retention. So sometimes there is an ask of us before they go down. What's hard to know is whether this was a planned meeting or a spur of the moment thing. So Ida?
Helen, I suggest that actually you contact the mayor and have a conversation with them, because the mayor is a politician, so it's usually politician to politician and staff to staff. So I don't think it would be wrong for you just to casually call her up and have a conversation.
I can do that. I can absolutely do that. All right, strategic planning. Do you want to start, Stephen?
Yeah, sure, thanks. And so we've been meeting as a committee, and with Urban Matters, we've worked with them to revise their initial proposals, not only on the contract and the plan, but also what's called the engagement kit. The engagement kit is a series of activities aimed at student level as well as adult level. So those were quite good, but we've gone through and revised those and given them some feedback. We're now heading into the season of starting to plan actual workshops and the open house. Tentatively, we're looking at, and we want to make sure, and rightly so, that any trustee is available, or at least we're not competing with other events. So right now, the open house is tentatively planned for Thursday, November 30th. And in the meantime, we have some other staff workshops going on, starting in a couple of weeks. And myself and Madeline and Helen and Angela will also take a look at moving, and yourselves, looking at that engagement kit and starting to plan some of those reach outs and little mini workshops with either PACs or SUPAC and DPAC and other groups, as well as they're working on this online survey to make sure, and we actually have a placeholder on our website now for a survey in terms of reaching anybody that can't make any of those meetings. And so things are moving forward, but they're going to start to happen quite quickly. And so it's going to be hard to organize some of these meetings and workshops, but everyone will do their best to reach out and invite people as well.
For the last World Cafe that we did, which I know was many years ago, and I can't remember, how many public sessions did we do as part of that?
I don't know for sure. I know there were far more sort of staff workshops on the World Cafe front than there were public ones. There was definitely a public one. More than one, I don't know. To a certain degree, we will have the open house piece, which is actually a bit of a kind of a big World Cafe as well, for all age groups. In addition to that, we're certainly anticipating, maybe you're involved in that if you want, Helen, as far as facilitating with the DPAC. all our parents as well that are kind of part of that public too.
I believe the open cafe one that we did, I think we hosted 4 public and then individual ones as well.
Yeah.
But I do believe we had 4 at different locations.
Right.
Another one?
I think we're gonna kind of stress that November 30th.
Yeah.
I think we kind of would like to see all hands on deck, is that correct?
Yeah, not only, so the scale of that's going to be very big. And we want to try and capture as many people in person to kind of make it as a meaningful engagement as possible. Sometimes when you have several sessions, you don't get a whole bunch of attendance. The good news is though, Ida, with the engagement kit, we can offer other public meetings in other locations
And
with that information. And I'll just say that the reason they're involved in this big open house is because part of their contract is to facilitate and organize that particular open house.
And I think the reason why I said we had 4 open house ones is because there was one in Fort St. John, one in Taylor, one in Hudson's Hope, and one in Wall. We didn't have them like all in Fort St. John. Because our huge one in Fort St. John, that gymnasium was packed.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was other locations.
So we will need your support and facilitation for some of those other public meetings.
They only are doing so many, and if we feel like, I think it makes sense to go out to some of our rural communities and not expect everybody to come to Fort St. John. But with the way the facilitation kits are designed, and if we're all at the open house and we watch them do, it will help us to be able to go out and lead and do some sessions. I wouldn't suggest any of us are going to go out as a singleton in that session, but as pairs, yes.
And maybe paired with staff too,
Yeah, paired with
just for support.
Yeah.
So that's a great reminder, Ida, on some of those reach outs. And by the way, though, also in addition to that, the survey itself, the software and the way that they're designed are far more powerful than they used to be in terms of the access for anyone in our public.
All right, and our addition to the agenda, there was 4 of us that were able to attend NIB, and I just thought it's nice and fresh, give people an opportunity to comment back on NIB's joint meeting with the Northwest, insights, information gleaned.
It was a worthwhile Saturday. We had Lee Brain do facilitation of how to come to, when it comes to advocacy, that we as a northern, as it was combined with Northwest, to focus down to one big priority rather than have all the little ones. And he did it was a really neat way of how he facilitated that. He did come, was kind of, well, was it a surprise? Not really, recruitment and retention. And then we had some presentation on accessibility. The first presenter, I think Kathy, talked about the Accessibility Act and that we have to be compliant. And coming out of that, I do have to admit, I'd like a bit of a follow-up here because I wonder if it has policy implication. And if it does, whether, because I have to admit for myself it was a bit new, and then to hear that there's already a committee and it's all running, I'm like, oh, okay. And there was supposed to be, like with these new requirements, there has to be a place for feedback. And I know at the DPAC meeting, there were questions about accessibility, and they were not referred to go to the website for feedback or whatever. But the way I understood, there should be now a mechanism for feedback and input. So I'm thinking maybe if we could do a follow-up on that.
Good idea. I think there was a link on the superintendent's report for feedback.
But if I don't know which superintendent report I have to go into,
right,
rather than it just be on the website under a.
Absolutely, we can follow up on that, and we will, and we view this as more of like almost a 3-year plan.
And
As
that's
far
what
as,
she did say
because
that.
we're actually working, Kathy's working with Jared Bell here in the district. We actually got a few districts to get together. So we're not creating 14 different plans in the north, but this will be a process.
I thought the concept that came out of it, of the north, most of the northern districts working together, when we sometimes talk about scale of economy for districts, was really a good thing. But when district staff is being mentioned, and it appeared like there was a lot of quite far down the road, and we're going, okay, we don't know a lot about this yet, so.
Yeah, and we're not actually that far down the road, so here we just have the committee in name, and we fulfilled the compliance number 1 of several steps to come over the next 3 years.
And then the second presenter was a baby that had visual impairment, and it was really, I felt good, just from her point of view too. It was done very well.
Ida?
Yeah, I agree, and I think it was really good that we had both branches there. It was nice to have both of them there. And it was quite a bit of networking done, and it was kind of good. And I really thought that even though we have the one topic that we sized down to, there was a couple other ones that were really close. And after networking and talking about it, we're on the same page with a lot of these other ideas as well. And it just helps you to realize that, yeah, everybody's thinking of
And we
like the media campaign and things like that, communications.
And we will get a full report out that shows the summary of the activity to share with everybody, because that will streamline, maybe guide us in terms of some advocacy. Bill?
I went to the tour of the new Kelly Road School. It's very nice. And the stuff they had there was very desirable. But the meetings themselves were, they went one way or the other for me. You know, stuff was good, interesting, and then stuff was late, or like the 2 presenter ladies, it was almost like they could have worked together for one. You know, just that kind of stuff. But I mean, it was good. I went on a outing with a group there and had fun. Talked to a couple other districts and just getting an idea. Like, I want to go on. I started doing it earlier when I was here, of some of the other districts and the size of their schools. I was kind of, getting the size of some of the schools and comparing them to some of ours, kind of thing. The Kelly Road School we went to was 150, 200 students more than our elementary schools. Or not elementary, sorry, it's middle schools. So it was quite interesting comparing a middle school to that school, kind of thing. It was worth going for sure. Some of the attendance, like even from the other districts, how many people went was low.
That was quite interesting, because I was wearing a few different hats at that meeting, and Bob Holmes, who was there as our board of directors, BCSTA board of directors rep, was shocked at our turnout. And I said, well, what do you mean you're shocked? He said, if we put 2 lower mainland branches together to try and do something like that, we would not get the turnout that you see in this room.
You were at the sign in there, so you probably seen a better idea than me.
And he was blown away when you started to talk about the commitment of the people in that room, given the distances traveled and how many boards were represented. He said, we would in the lower mainland maybe have to travel at the most 2 hours to try and do what you guys just did here. And there's no way we would get this kind of attendance.
To stretch from Prince Rupert to Fort Nelson
Queen
to,
Charlotte.
Queen
Yeah.
Charlotte's through there.
to Bella Coola. You know, like, that's a huge area. Yeah.
I just have something that we, as a table, we kind of asked, and none of us really do. And Thomas, you might know, or else we can find out. But they were talking about smudging, and they were talking about wherever you are from, you smudge with a different material. So we were wondering, what do they smudge with up here? So, like, was it juniper, was it sage, was it, they all had different. Yeah, so we just were curious, what do they smudge with here?
Way to throw me under the bus on this.
No, but you can ask
I
and
see it
find
almost
out.
every day as I walk into the band office, but I have no clue what they're
But you can
smudging.
ask for me.
I can definitely find out for you.
Yeah, that's
Good.
why.
We've got a trustee following up on the question.
Well, we were all sitting.
And no one else, Thomas can find out first.
And
Thomas will figure it out.
what was the other thing? Sorry, she just reminded me of something, I forgot it. One of the things, I gotta toot somebody's horn a little, is we all got into the same hotel where the booking was, and other districts didn't. I found out that one of the people going to provincial council with me is gonna be late because they couldn't, kind of thing. Okay? We have somebody that takes very good care of us and gets us in everything very early, very much appreciated.
Nice.
And the other thing is we hope to, at our branch meeting at Academy, set the date for AGM, and I'll, as vice president of the NIB, be doing some work in the lead up to that. Because I know some people said, well, can we do our AGM and our advocacy development via Zoom so we're not traveling in the winter? I don't know if that's a possibility, but that may be something that's discussed, so if you guys have some ideas about that. The other thing that was announced is that the BCSTA's learning series for trustees, which happened after our last election too, but they came here to do it, and we put Fort Nelson, Chapman, and us together to do it in the BBC. They're now talking about one meeting, one day for the whole region in Prince George on the 4th of May. And so I said, oh, that's really, Secretary Treasurer's gonna love that, a third trip to Prince George. We already added the second one in this joint year. So I did already start to have the discussion with BCSTA about, tell me more about why you want this to just be by branch and why you can't do it in a couple of places within a branch the size of ours. So, but right now, just put that May 4th date away in your brain, because that's what they're talking about and locked into doing.
May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, May the 4th be with you. Yeah.
I got an answer. Do you guys want it?
Oh, I have to.
Not the answer that you're looking for. Interesting getting. They don't do anything. The Beaver people do not do smudging. Having said that, it is a Cree thing, and there's a lot of overlap between Cree and Denaizal amongst all of the populations up here. So that's where it's coming in from. Having said that, they burn specific herbs and stuff to keep away viruses, just to generally cleanse the area. There's a lot of that, but there is no smudging that they do.
Well, and that was what was quite interesting in the one speaker. She was hard to hear, but one of the things that I sort of got was pre-residential school, they didn't necessarily have smudging as part of the culture, but as there's a reclamation of culture going on, they've adopted smudging, and they've adopted the ideas related to smudging from other groups. So that was just...
Powwows and traditional dancing are very similar to that as well. They're also parts of the traditions that have been moved in from other territories.
So, some new learning for us all. Okay. New business, item number 13, Remembrance Day ceremony, trustee representatives. So we have had people attend for laying of the wreath in Taylor, Hudson's Hope, and here. Are there any other Remembrance Day ceremonies within our region that we should be aware of? So,
When I have a request, I usually do Taylor, but because I'm not positive when I'm having the surgery I have to have, I would really like a backup in case I can't attend. So I'd like someone else if they could go to the Taylor one, and then at closer to the date if I can go, or two of us can go, but.
okay, we can talk about that. Nicole, Hudson Hope, can you do? Oh, okay, we'll come back to Hudson Hope, because Nicole did do it before. And Ida and backup for Taylor. And sometimes we've had more people interested in Fort St. John than we needed, but who's interested in doing Fort St. John?
Not gonna be here.
You have to be here. David,
I was gonna volunteer to
to back up
back
Ida?
up Ida.
Sorry, did you see my hand?
I appreciate that.
I did.
Yeah, well.
So Thomas, I'll back you up there.
You can join me
Anybody-
too, just come on.
If anybody, well, sometimes they have reserved chairs, we have to let them know. And Leah, you'll gather all the information and send it to us, because it comes to you, doesn't it? About the time of the ceremonies and things, the Legion, didn't they communicate with you last year?
They just communicate about wreaths, laying of the wreaths, and then I send a letter saying who's going to be going. So you want to do that? Like the two of you on the letter?
Well, if David can go, we can put just David and then I can just stand. We don't need both our
No.
names.
You will sit, I will stand.
And Thomas and I can look at Fort St. John's, and we'll hopefully hear from Nicole whether she can do Hudson Hopes, because if she was in Burns Lake, I could go down to Hudson Hopes too.
I haven't missed one in a couple of years, so we should be good here. Limited.
Michelle?
Thank you. So I was really pleased to see that board policy 4028 on the teachers' professional development is being reviewed, because the last time it was revised was in 2012, June of 2012. And that would have been my last year as Pro-D chair, the last little bit. So thank you. I think that there's a link to our website with the Pro-D policy and guidelines. So I really appreciate you tackling that and doing such a good job getting that updated. So thank you. That's about all I have. I think that we've got a great day for Friday, and we're part of the planning for the meeting of Bones of Pros. And if you are wanting to attend, I'm going to the evening one, but you have to reserve your ticket online. It's free of charge, and I think it'd be really good to have some trustees there. So thank you very much.
I'm out of town, so if you don't see me, understand.
So am I.
And I'm out of town November 30th, so.
We'll have others.
Okay.
We'll
workshops.
have others.
And Helen, if I may, in the revised policy, we will have a link as the reference, the link to your.
Yeah, I think it was on there.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you very much.
We don't have anybody from CUPE Local here or District Parent Advisory Council. And now, our very patient public, we're happy to answer any questions that are related to our agenda tonight.
Just one.
Your first and last.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I forgot to tell you.
Deborah
that. Thank you,
Johnson.
David.
I'm a mom. I'm a grandmom.
Okay,
Just a question, has Northern Health always issued licenses for daycares and before and after school programs?
They have always issued those kinds of licenses.
Interesting, really interesting. And so the city of Fort St. John doesn't know? Okay. Thank you.
The only thing is the city would issue a business license, but that would be separate
Yeah.
from.
Thank you. So could I get a motion to suspend our regular meeting? Moved by Bill, seconded by Thomas, and we'll suspend our regular meeting and move into camera. All in favor? Thank you. So we've just completed our in-camera meeting. Could I please have a motion that our motions from in-camera be brought forward? Moved by Bill, seconded by Thomas. All in favor? Now I need to have a motion to adjourn the regular meeting. Moved by Ida, seconded by Bill. All in favor?